which have caused us a lot of distress and upset. I'm joined by Priya. Priya, Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Thank you for joining this program, particularly aimed at our younger viewers, because we want to explain in English what is happening in Punjab and the widespread devastation and how people can help. So, what do you know about these events of the past few days, which started on Monday in the Punjab with the flooding?
As many of you will know, it's absolutely devastating what's happened in Punjab. Over 300 villages have been hit by heavy rainfall. It's caused a major disaster. Many families have lost their homes. A lot of produce have been lost, and obviously when the flood recedes, a lot of damage will still be left. We do urge a lot of people, a lot of viewers, especially the young people, to share the Just Giving page on their Instagram, social media like Facebook, and donate as much as they possibly can.
And when you first learnt about this, how did you feel when you learnt about the devastation in Punjab?
It is absolutely heartbreaking. I know it hasn't been highlighted as much on the BBC, but it really should be. I really do urge people to research it themselves as well, to find out in-depth information as to how much it has damaged and caused a lot of damage in India. It is really heartbreaking to see what's happened to the families.
And obviously the Punjab is an agricultural area with a lot of agricultural produce, and it's also a very large, vast plain.
Yes.
It's a flat area, and because of that the water spread very quickly and many villages have been affected. And as you know, Punjab in recent decades there's been a lot of problems anyway.
Yes.
With the economy not being so good.
Yeah.
And a lot of the people are the poorer people who've been affected.
Yeah.
In the rural areas, in villages.
Yeah, the rural areas have been affected the most. Obviously it's going to cause a lot of damage once the flood recedes. A lot of schools have actually been shut as well. So that everything's kind of been at a standstill at the moment, and nothing can improve until the flood recedes.
What can people do to help and support? There should be a Just Giving link on screen now.
Yep, like I said, I do urge people and viewers to donate whatever they can, as little as they can even, as much as they can. And if they can share it on social media or through WhatsApp, every little counts basically here.
And we've had a lot of support from the older members of our community.
Yes, we have, yeah.
And they have an attachment to Punjab. But why should younger people support who perhaps have been born here and live in the UK, aren't so connected with Punjab? Should they also support where their parents and grandparents come from?
Absolutely. I mean, it doesn't matter where this has happened in the world, it's still a disaster that's happened. So it is very important that people, young viewers, I think, actually understand the damage that this has caused and come to grips of what's actually happened. I think if they do the research as well themselves and they can see the damage that's been caused, it will urge them that they would like to donate. Like I said, it doesn't matter where it is in the world that this would have happened, it's still a disaster. A lot of people, like I said, have lost their homes, and it is just really heartbreaking.
Fortunately, in the Punjab, there hasn't been any reported loss of life as of yet. There may be some people who've been affected. Certainly, but illness and disease is a big problem.
Yeah.
Whenever there's flooding and water, cholera, dysentery, other diseases can spread.
Yeah.
What would you like to say about that?
Obviously, India is prone obviously to some diseases, and obviously with the flood it's going to cause a lot more damage. It's going to cause a lot more diseases spreading around. So like I said before, once the flood recedes, there's going to be a lot of damage there anyway within the rural areas. But again, it's going to leave a lot more disease. So even though the flood will obviously eventually go, it's still going to have a knock-on effect in the future.
The Sikh Channel team have been out working very hard day and night. They've hardly slept.
Yeah.
Harinder Singh, Amarjit Singh, all our team, they hired a boat and they've been reaching remote villages, small villages which have been cut off, and delivering supplies to the people there and medicine to the old people. So the Sikh Channel team, Sikh Channel Aid team are working very hard to do their bit, but there's a lot more work to be done. Our immediate concern has been to provide medicine, food, water, the basic essentials.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if this has struck really hard, and it was 3 days of heavy rainfall as well, and the rainfall went above the danger limits. So you can only just imagine how much damage it's caused. And we do urge, obviously, some of the money obviously will be going towards, obviously, the full amount will go towards India and the flood. That's something that needs to be highlighted. 100% will be going there. We will not take a percentage whatsoever. And then a lot of the money will be spent on the medicine there as well.
But not only the immediate aid, but also the long-term aid, because once the water recedes and goes back, there'll be a lot of damage to property, and particularly because Punjab is agricultural, people's livelihoods are affected. People can't earn from the fields, they can't sow the crops, they can't harvest the crops, and so their earnings would have been affected. If you can imagine, a farmer will plan for a year, sowing, growing, and then harvesting the crop. All that is gone, so people's livelihoods, earnings for a whole year will be affected. There may be some people who require support for a whole year to make sure they can survive.
Yeah, it will have a major knock-on effect. As you said, Punjab is a very rural area. So once the flood fully recedes, there's going to be a lot of damage to the farming area. And then on top of that, it will leave a lot of disease. People will need medicines. The schools also will then be reopened, being put at a standstill now. There's going to be still a lot of damage that needs to be fixed, even when the flood recedes, basically.
And the Sikh community generally, a philosophy of Seva for everybody, Sarbata Pala. The Sikh community is always the first to help others across the world. We have all our international aid charities who love to fly to other parts of the world, like Iraq, and give out water bottles and have great PR and photographs taken and so on. And it's very important now that we help our own people. And I was born in the UK, as you and many of the viewers were, but we still have an attachment to where our parents come from.
It's heritage.
And it's our heritage, it's the focus of our religion, Punjab, where we want to visit and so on. So it's very important that people support. And how important is it for us to now support our own people?
Oh, I think it's always important. It definitely is, and especially, it's not just about what in time of need, just in general you should always support your own, but especially at the moment when there really is a crisis on our hands, I really, like I said, urge people to focus on this and just try and give as much as they can, because it is very damaging, the results are there.
Absolutely. And you yourself, have you ever been to the Punjab?
No, I haven't, myself.
You've never been to the Punjab, so this might be an opportunity for you to go and see and assess the damage and perhaps help people there.
Yes, absolutely.
And also report back to other young British Sikh people, Punjabi people who don't have such a connection with the Punjab, many who have not been or don't go regularly, to help reconnect. So from this very terrible tragedy, some good can come as well. Yes,
absolutely. I mean, you don't have to have have visited. It is part of your heritage, and everyone knows that. So if it's part of your heritage, you should feel proud about your place, etc. So definitely, I do urge people to research the area and find out themselves as well how much damage has been caused.
And there's a number going on screen shortly. People can SMS their comments, and we'll read those out. But on screen now, there's a Just Giving link. What would you like to say to all the younger, particularly the young, when I say younger, it's 50 and under, because our audience, Sikh channel audience, tends to be elderly, quite old people. They're very much attached to Punjab, and there's been a reasonable level of support from the older generation. But we want young people to contribute, and that's what we've given the Just Giving link to make it easy, and they can do it online. What would you like to say to all the younger people watching?
To the young people out there watching, I urge you to spread it on social media, whether it's be Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram, any form of social media that you have. If you can't donate, send it to people who can donate, and then any little amount, it will still go a long way. So I do urge people, young viewers, to definitely donate whatever they can.
That's tremendous. And in terms of the aid work that we want to do, we've set a target of £100,000 on this Just Giving page, which sounds like a lot, but it's not a large amount for the Sikh community in the UK.
Absolutely not.
A very prosperous, successful community, a large community, and there's a lot of young people watching now. If everybody gave 10, 20 or 100 pounds each, we could easily meet that target.
Absolutely, we can easily meet the target, and that will help so many people out there who genuinely need that money.
You also mentioned that we want to make sure that all the money raised is spent in the Punjab.
Yes.
And as is very common with all charities, there are running costs, and Sikh Channel might often make a small deduction of 20 or 30% for its running costs. But this particular campaign, we want to pledge 100%. That means that all the money raised for the Punjab floods, all of it will be spent on aid work in the Punjab.
Yeah.
That's our 100% pledge to the viewers and our supporters. What would you like to say about that?
I think that's a very, very important point, that people need to remember that 100% of all funds and any money raised will go straight to India, straight towards the funds. Not a penny or percentage will go towards the Sikh Channel or any production or anything like that. 100% will definitely go to the floods.
That's very reassuring and important for our viewers to understand and appreciate. Sikh Channel is a TV station. It's very expensive to run, and we've changed the lives of many thousands, tens, hundreds of thousands of people around the world.
Yeah.
And that has a value which you can't place. That's worth billions and billions of dollars. There's no value on that. And so we must keep the TV station running. And we ask everybody to set up a direct debit so we can continue to do these projects and work towards giving 100% of money raised to the project and not use towards our satellite or Sky costs. So what would you like to say to people about setting up a direct debit to ensure Sikh Channel can keep running?
Setting up a direct debit is really easy and very simple. You don't need to give too much, as anything that you could possibly give. You won't feel it leaving your account, just a small bit per month, and it will help the Sikh Channel run. And obviously, like you said, Sikh Channel has helped many people across England with many projects, this being one of them. So if anyone is able to do that, that'd be great.
And there's also now a telephone number on the screen, Sikh Channel number, which people can SMS or WhatsApp and make their pledges, and we're happy to read out people's pledges and comments. So anybody wants to SMS right now, they can, and we'll be happy to put their comments forward in this program. The Punjab, it's suffered a lot in recent years.
Yes.
In terms of there's drugs problems with a lot of the young people, there's high unemployment.
Yeah.
And the Sikh Channel have been running a farmer suicide campaign because there's been a lot of farmers who are caught in a cycle of debt and poor income who have been committing suicide. And suicide rates are very high amongst the farmers in Punjab. And this comes at a time when the farmers are already suffering.
Yes. That is very true, and it's a very sad topic to speak about, but I think it does need to be discussed within the Sikh Punjabi community, that I think people don't like to discuss, but it does need to be highlighted that it is a problem in Punjab, the suicide rate. And with this flood happening, a lot of the farms will be damaged, and with the high rise of suicides from farmers in Punjab, it is very scary to talk about, but it may be a case of that will also increase. So it's something that we need to discuss as well, don't we?
Absolutely. The farming community are already under pressure and a lot of stress.
And this will add to the pressure and stress.
Absolutely. The small farmers who have a lot of pressure already upon them, financial pressure, and their crops would have been destroyed. And there's no such thing as insurance. If we have a flood damage, there were major floods in Somerset some years ago.
Yeah.
And some Sikh groups rushed to help there, but there's insurance. People have every provision made for them in the UK.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of support from the government and so on. But as you know, in our Punjab, it's not the same. If people have lost their crops, that's it, they've lost them.
That's absolutely right. So in Punjab, it's very different to how it is in the UK. If they lose their crops, it's very difficult to regrow, and especially after a flood, the soil will be very damaged, the ground will be damaged. If that is the case, and if this causes much damage, then it's going to be very hard for them to pick that back up again. Obviously, for many people in Punjab, that is their livelihood.
And what about the number of villages affected? 300 villages.
Yes, that's a lot of villages.
It's a lot of villages. If you imagine, some of the villages are quite large. There might be a few thousand people living in a village. 300 villages have been affected across the Punjab. So it's quite a major disaster.
It is, well, it's an actual tragedy what's happened. and I think it does need to be highlighted a lot more in the media.
Have you seen much in the mainstream news, for example, on BBC or anywhere else about Punjab floods?
Unfortunately, there hasn't been any highlight in the BBC News at all about what's happened this month, which is very upsetting because it, like I said, it is an absolute tragedy, and so it should be highlighted. It's a major, major flood. Past floods have been highlighted. Obviously, Punjab has suffered from floods before, but this particular one, where it's been a major flood, it has not been highlighted.
And a lot of the people have received news of this via Sikh channel and other Punjabi media.
Yes.
And so it's very important that we keep our Sikh channel strong.
Yes.
So we can be aware of what's happening in the Punjab.
Spread the word.
Absolutely, and help where it's needed.
Yes.
And a lot of the people who are suffering are the elderly people
Yes.
in the Punjab because they're not so mobile.
Yeah. And obviously, those people, they will be made target for disease, which is really sad. So like I said, once the flood recedes, there's going to be a lot of disease that's around, and obviously older people are mobile, so it's going to be difficult for them and for children as well.
So we urge everybody watching to go onto the Just Giving link and donate generously. We want to achieve this target within a few days so we can commence the work. The water is still standing water.
Yes, it
The
is.
flooded water is still standing in many parts
Yeah.
of the Punjab, but it will start to recede
Yeah.
in the coming days. It will start to go back. The water will fall away and the true damage will be revealed. The Sikh channel will continue to bring updates. Our team are very active, working day and night in the field to keep the viewers updated.
Yeah.
And what would you like to say about the Sikh channel team in Punjab who are working around the clock?
They are really working exceptionally hard. They're working around the clock to help as many people as possible. They're obviously seeing the damage themselves. They can tell how bad it is. But like I said, the Sikh channel are really great. Their team is out there helping as many people as possible, families, children, anyone they possibly can.
Sorry. And in terms of going forward, how can people help if they want to volunteer? We're also asking people to come forward as volunteers.
Yes, so we urge people, if they can, possibly volunteer. They contact the Sikh channel. If you get in contact with us, we'll direct you in the right place as to how you can volunteer.
Volunteers are welcome because we may also want people like yourself who've never been to the Punjab to go out
Yeah.
and assess and help people, offer support.
Yeah.
They may need some counselling as well and support of all different types in terms of medicine and perhaps even education for young people.
Yeah.
And I think it's a good opportunity from this very terrible incident and disaster. There could be a lot of ties that we can build with the Punjab and help people who are born in the UK get a greater sense of connection.
Absolutely. I think that's a great point you just made there, actually. Especially for younger people who haven't visited India, or even if they have. I think it'd be great if any volunteer would like to come on board and visit the area, but to obviously help as many people as possible. Like you said, with counselling, with the flooding, with the children, any with the medicine even, anything would actually really help.
That's tremendous. Because Punjab is the land of 5 rivers
Yes.
and it's suffered a lot
Yes.
in recent decades, a lot of problems, and we want to come together now to support in a time of need, particularly the Sikh community who has been very keen and are very active in supporting all other communities around the world. We do a lot of Langar Seva here in the UK and other parts of the world. We have Langars everywhere for the homeless, and we have international aid charities, most of whom have started here from Sikh channel
Yeah.
and have gone on to big things and fly around the world and help people in disaster areas which are high profile on the BBC News.
Yeah.
But this time, this is not a high profile area. It's not featuring in the BBC or mainstream. It's not very glamorous, but it's our home, it's Punjab.
Absolutely.
And we must help, we must do everything we can
Yeah.
to help the Punjab from the place where we all come from.
Absolutely. it should be highlighted in the BBC News because it is a disaster, but it isn't, unfortunately. That's why I do urge the younger viewers especially to research as much as possible, to find out as much as possible about the damage that's been caused. But like I said, it should definitely be highlighted because it is a complete disaster.
And what would you like to say to all the young people who are watching, the younger people? Why should they contribute towards this important aid relief?
I think for the younger viewers especially, it's about heritage. Even if you are British born, like I said, it's about heritage, and it's very, very important to remember where you come from, your motherland, and why you should help. It's their time of need, and you should really, really, really help as much as possible.
And you yourself, you've never been to the Punjab, but you do feel an attachment, you do feel upset.
Absolutely. If people could see the damage that's been caused just from looking online, it really is terrible what's happened there.
And you've seen a lot of the photographs of our team working in the field.
Yes, the Sikh channel are helping a lot. Wherever they can, they really are helping a lot and making a small difference, which helps.
Absolutely, it is only a small difference. There's a lot more to be done.
Yes.
And it's important that we do everything we can, especially some of the people who might fall through the cracks, because the elderly, poorer people, the uneducated in Punjab, they want to be able to access any official government support.
Yes, that's correct. So that's a very actually important point you just made there. So some people may not be able to get the help they possibly can through the authorities there. That's why when the Sikh channel are there, they're able to get that help, that support, that structure that they have. So like I said, whether it's been counselling that they need or anything like that, they can get it through the Sikh channel.
Absolutely. And we've had one of our viewers ask what sort of donations we will accept. At the moment, it's monetary donations, because with India and all the import and export red tape, it's quite difficult to send any large quantity of aid. If it gets stuck at a port, it might take many weeks to get it out and send it on. So at the moment, we are purchasing medicine and foodstuff locally and distributing that. But we will keep you updated if you need any clothing and so on. People can donate. They can actually donate clothes and other essentials which we can take over.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what would you like to say to all the viewers watching now? Why should they contribute and donate?
I think it's very, very, very important that people contribute and donate in this situation. Like I said, it's very unfortunate that it hasn't been highlighted in the BBC News, so I don't think many people actually know how much damage has been caused. I think for a lot of people, their main source of information here will be the Sikh channel. That's why I urge viewers to research online if they can, to see how much damage has been caused. But like I said, every little helps here, and it is a complete tragedy what's happened, and the floods have had such a knock-on effect with so many people and families and children and older people. Even when the flood recedes, that's also going to have a lot of knock-on effects. So once that recedes, like you said, a rural area, the farming is going to be not very good, and then the disease that's there, and the lack of medicine and the counselling. So it really, I do urge people to donate as much as possible really in the situation.
And the Sikh channel, the Sikh channel has changed the lives of so many people in 10 years of broadcast. A lot of the charities we see operating now, they've all come through and been inspired by the Sikh channel broadcast. Sikh channel made possible by all the viewers and our direct debit supporters. And with this particular aid project, the Sikh channel will be delivering 100% aid, which is very, very unusual. Even the large British charities all make large deductions for their running costs. But on this occasion, we will be delivering all the monies received will go towards aid delivery in Punjab.
That's correct. So it is it's a pledge that we're making that 100% of all funds and donations made will go straight to India towards the funds only. And that is a pledge, not a penny or percentage will go towards Sikh channel or the production team or anything.
And that's a very major step by the Sikh channel. But it's important we also keep Sikh channel running, so we can give people news and we can change their lives and bring people closer to their faith. So we also ask people to set up direct debits. That's very important. As you mentioned, £5 or £10 a month is nothing for all Sikhs in the UK. We want people to set up a direct debit so we can also keep Sikh channel going.
Absolutely. if people have difficulty setting up the direct debit, if they contact the Sikh channel, ring in or email, there'll be someone here who's more than happy to help you set up a direct debit. And like you said, it doesn't matter how much it is, how little it is, just a little bit a month will help and will go a long way if everyone in the community donates.
Absolutely. We don't want to put a lot of pressure on any particular person or business or individual. If everybody pledged, say, it's the year of 550, which is a very important year for Sikhs, 550 years Gurpur of Bella Pasha Ji. And for that, if people want to give £5.50 or they want to give a larger amount, £550, they can. That'll be very symbolic, or £101. Anything is welcome. The Just Giving link is on the screen, and we want everybody to contribute.
Yes, absolutely. Like I said, I really do urge viewers out there to donate as much as possible. It will really help.
Thank you very much. Thank you for joining us, and we'll keep the viewers updated with progress every day. Our team is very active on the ground, reporting what's happening with the flood waters as they start to recede, and also how the people are being affected and what's required on the ground. But it's important for Sikhs who've supported everybody else around the world. We were always the first to put langar on for non-Sikhs, the homeless, to support, to go to Iraq and so on, and fly out around the world in earthquake zones. But this time, we must all come together to help the Punjab from where we come from. And the dharti of our gurus, very important.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you. And we'll bring you further updates on the Punjab crisis, the flooding, which has been unprecedented.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
I'm Iqbal Singh Kang of Vienna Kang Advocates. We specialise in the defence of serious crime, family law, employment law, commercial law